vegetables like Meru. We have a fully functional cold room, which can be run by a cooperative. So instead of you throwing your produce to the market when the prices don't allow, you can go store it for a week or a month, and then you can bring it. So indeed, it may not be the hardcore manufacturing that we have, but in a way, it is part of the agro-processing that is necessary to help our farmers to add value. And we have found that with very minimal processing, you are able to double or even sometimes triple the value. And I think this is really where we are going. And also to encourage, instead of selling the potato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Minister. Not many members in this House will know that he was my colleague in Parliament in 2002 to 2013. Yes, now they know, especially junior people like Kenya here. Mr. Speaker, before I raise my question, I would like to draw the attention of the Minister to the provision of the Constitution of Kenya, 4th schedule, that divides functions between the national and the county governments. And Article 187. In 4th schedule, Minister, the function of markets falls squarely with county governments. And in 187, the Constitution goes further and tells you in subsection 2 that if a function or power is transferred from one government to one level to another government at the other level, B, constitutional responsibility for the performance of that function or exercise of power shall remain within the government to which it is. You've just told us that the President is inviting us to join them when he'll be launching other such functions. Why do you want us to come to be witnesses when you're breaching the Constitution of Kenya? Finally, but not least.
Senator Kalwale only allowed one supplementary question.
Yes, it is the same question, but
in a different format.
It's the same question, Mr. Speaker.
The same question. That question has been
the
well
same
understood.
Question. That was A of that question. Now I'm going to
B. Will be a second question. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Mr. Speaker, most obliged.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Eddie Okech.
Commodity that you have also touched, but has continued wallowing in Migori County, is actually gold, which is very, very important in the country. And Mr. Speaker, the ministry that would think about helping our artisanal farmers, or rather miners, technically, has been doing it very well, which is the Ministry of Mining, in terms of just providing the technical and the support that is needed to some extent. But for this particular ministry, Waziri, I wanted you to give us a status report in terms of how are you supporting Migori miners, be it in Kiancha, be it in Masara, be it in Nyatike, in terms of centralized and value addition when you think about issues around establishing a joint refinery as well as centralized export systems, which you have indicated will be very key in terms of cottaging this particular area so that the gold price in Migori County is also not left to middlemen and they're not making money out of it, yet most of them are artisanal miners and don't have capacity to access better markets and better infrastructure to be able to make money out of their sweat in the gold mines. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mariam Sheikh.
Has been completed, can be used. Thank you.
County governments, to the ordinary mwananchi, what they want is service delivery. And there are many components within the CAIP that are delivered by the national government. For example, power. Also we have issues to do with water, issues to do with roads. Because again, if you come up with a market that is logistically inaccessible, even if it is a county function and you require a national road to access there. So we have found out within our first phase of the CAIP implementation that there are many things we had not looked at that involve both national and county governments. And in our second phase of the implementation of the KIPES, we will be looking to incorporate some of the lessons we have learned. Like, for example, we allocated 500 million to all the KIPES, irrespective of what services you already have, because there are certain KIPES where power was already there, the roads were already there, the sewer system is there. How would you compare that with one where none of those facilities were there, including even any other that would require you to access? So, Mr. Speaker, it is not possible to have one number for all of them, and I think these are some of the lessons that we have learned in the course of this discussion. So the invitation by the national government is in collaboration with county, and the responsibility of my ministry is to ensure that government resources are used well, and indeed there's no wastage on public resources. Mr. Speaker, allow me to go to Migori West, and the Honourable Member has alluded that we have a nearly 100-ton potato potential. And I think maybe the first thing to say is that we must diversify our definition of what food security is. I think for the longest period, food security was equal to maize. So if we didn't have sufficient maize, then we were food insecure. Yet, much of the potatoes from Migori, parts of Kisii, Nyandarua, Nakuru, and many other of these places have excess potatoes. But working together with the Ministry of Agriculture, we are trying to deal with one market challenge that we have. The varieties that are grown in most of our areas are varieties that have a very short shelf life. So after harvesting in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they will not be able to last beyond the 2-3 weeks. Therefore, the farmers are always desperate. There are other varieties that have been introduced in the market. They may be slightly expensive, but they are more productive, they are more resilient, and can be used for specialized markets, including some of the big international franchises we have, including KFC. So some of our areas across the country, link them with the farmers, and together we can work together. In the case of Migori, Mr. Speaker, we are also trying to encourage business people to realize the potential in our counties. Migori is an extremely rich county with gold, food, access even to our neighboring countries. So the biggest drive is really to ensure that the capital we find in the big cities can also be channeled there. And through that, Mr. Speaker, we have organized several business forums, including one we had in Nyanza in 2013 that brought about, I think, 5 of the counties, but we would be glad to also do Migori specific. On the artisanal miners, Mr. Speaker.
Just a moment, Cabinet Secretary. What is your
point of intervention? Is on a statement by the CS. Mr. CS, please clarify how potatoes can be used to make tomatoes.
Tomato.
That potato paste.
Senator Ojienda, I can reply to that. You were not paying attention.
We are dealing with counterfeit. Is the CS saying that Kenyans are using potatoes as tomatoes?
No. Senator Ojeda. Yes, Senator Kinyo.
Mr. Speaker, we are concentrating and we are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying. We are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying, but I am sure the good professor is busy on his phone getting instructions from Mr. Speaker, you know from who. So please allow us to listen to the Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Professor, I agree with Senator Kinyo. You did not listen to what the CS was saying. Can I answer for the CS? It was very clear. He said potato paste is a requirement in making tomato paste. So we're importing tomato paste from Egypt.
We get the right potatoes that the industry is asking for. Tomatoes, the same. And just for clarity, In some of the countries, including Thailand, developed the necessary infrastructure, both to do the testing and more importantly, also refining. So we end up having our minerals being sold to the big markets, and we fetch maybe 30–40% of their true value. So one of the things that Kenya is trying to position itself is to be the refining hub for the region, not just for the country, but the entire region from DRC, Uganda, and all the others. And as you may have heard the speech by the president in Tanzania, these were some of the conversations that we would want to entrench. There will be huge opportunity given the gold reserves that we have found, the rare minerals that have also been identified in Kenya, and working together with the Ministry of Mining, we will be able to come up with this area as one area where we can put our technology, our people, and also the financing necessary to create. And Kenya recently joined the prestigious group of countries that are recognized in mining. So I think we now need to move from the artisanal mining category to professional and large-scale mining. And I think this is going to be a game changer, Mr. Speaker. So lastly, Mr. Speaker, there was a question on the status areas where it's largely agricultural or cereal. Then again, we can't have one design for all of them. So these are lessons, and I think we cannot claim to be perfect in all this. Then we have certain markets and other government projects that have been built but are not yet complete. Therefore, the honorable member was asking what we can do. I think this is where we were talking about working together with the counties, because more often than not, when we decide to build a market, we just look at the structure. We don't look at the sanitation. We don't look at the roads accessing there. We don't look at how far it is from the main road, because markets are also about convenience, and it is for that reason sometimes when you geographically misplace a market, people will leave that grand market and go to trade outside because the geography is not aligned. And those are the issues or lessons that we have learned. And Mr. Speaker, what we have encouraged our county governments and the Ministry of Lands is that we do a feasibility study before any market is placed to reduce orthodox teas. Is that Kenya is also positioning itself not just to do the traditional teas, but the high-value teas, and also to change the use of tea from merely being a beverage to also being a fine dining item. And to this, a fine dining item. And to this effect, we will be launching some of these products during the French within the larger East and Central Africa. And talking with the major manufacturers.
Have an aerial view of what's happening in the whole country, but then you can map out, because many of our counties, we have become jack of all trades but master of none. Would you, from where you sit, because you have, you can quickly see, you have data, Cabinet Secretary, that our housing levy fund is the money that is used to construct the markets. Thank you.
Senator Omtata Okoiti.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable feasibility study, whereby I'm able to gauge the viability of the project before public money is invested in. It's very good to talk about aggregation parks, to talk about this, to talk about all those things I've spoken about. But where there's no scientific study showing me that 1 + 1 equals equals to 3, as Professor says, 1 + 1 = 2, I find it difficult to follow your presentation, because you have reduced this thing into a very academic exercise. When I go to Busia Kaip, I've been there, what hits me is that what is this thing going to do? How is it, where is the ecosystem within which this Kaip is going to count? So I don't know whether
build a foundation on it. Mr. Speaker, I have seen very many market buildings coming up in Moraga, but most of them, and I can assure the CS, especially storied ones, are not in use because there is nobody to use them. So I want to join Senator Mutata in saying that if there is any feasibility study that is done, as the CS claims, then I think there is a gap somewhere, because these structures just come up even when they are not needed. And Mr. Speaker, we have more needs. And I draw the CS's attention to the lower region of Murang'a, where we grow a lot of mangoes, Mr. Speaker. And the county has interventions, but it is not able to mop up all the mangoes that are produced. So exactly what is the ministry doing to see to it that it intervenes and supports the county government in mopping up mango production in Lower Murang'a, Mr. Speaker, the wards of Kakuzimi-Tubiri, Idhanga Ward, Makuyu Ward, Kambiti Ward, because the past season there were loads and loads of mangoes rotting along the roads. And Mr. Speaker, as he does that, he has mentioned something very important, that they are assisting in providing business advisory services, where they train on standards to, especially the common mwananchi. Do we have a structure? Because I've not seen anybody in Murang'a being trained on this. And Mr. CS, what are you doing to see to it that avocado farmers are assisted? The upper region of Murang'a, Kandara, Gatanga, Kigumo, Maragua, parts of Kiharu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my question.
Thank you, Senator.